Hi there. Thanks for tuning in. This is the Follow Your Passion podcast. I'm your host, Erwin Wils. I'm a mindset and business strategist and founder of Millionaire Life Strategy. In this podcast, I'm interviewing my clients and other entrepreneurs that are following their passion and make a good living out of it. When you want to know more about me or what I can do for you, check out my website, millionaireLifestrategy.com. But first, check out this episode of Follow Your Passion. Hello, everybody. Welcome by another episode of Follow Your Passion. Let me introduce my guest for today. She's Jennifer Conroyd, founder and CEO of Fluid Running, a deep water running fitness company. Jennifer is an Ironman and has completed 16 marathons, qualifying for the Boston Marathon 15 times. In 2010, Jennifer had an injury that left her unable to run in preparation for the Chicago Marathon. Since this was a very special one, she searched for ways to keep in shape and discovered that running in deep water made it possible. She ran exclusively in deep water for 6 weeks prior to the race. And not only did she finish that race, she also qualified for the Boston Marathon. She immediately saw the potential and Fluid Running was born. Fluid Running offers group classes that Men's Journal voted as one of the best workouts in America. And Jennifer's company recently launched the Fluid Running app, so making this unique deep water workout available globally. Welcome, Jennifer. How are you?
Hi, Erwin. I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Great. So tell me about this Chicago Marathon. There was a very special marathon for you, right?
It was. I say I've done 16, and of all of them, I don't remember what number that might have been number 10. I can't remember exactly, but I say it was the most important marathon of my life because I was doing it with all of my siblings, four of my siblings. There's 5 of us that had come into Chicago from California to Maine to run it with me as part of a charity team for Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation because our nephew had been diagnosed at a very young age. So it was 2010 the year, and our team name was Team 10 for Ben the year, and his name was Ben, and we'd raised $10,000, and it was a really big deal. My whole family company, and I was kind of team captain because I'm from Chicago and it was here. And 6 weeks before that race, I tore my calf muscle on a training run, and it was one of those injuries where I knew immediately I was in trouble, and went to my doctor, and he said, "Sorry, you can't run anymore." So,
oh, wow.
Yes. So I was, unwilling to accept that. And I went to, went like we do, went to the internet and searched for how do you stay in running shape when you can't run?
Yeah.
I mean, I said I would have done it walking on my hands if it was physically possible, but that wasn't possible. So I came across several articles and I kept kind of being drawn to this running in the water concept. It was called aqua jogging, deep water running. Found a particular article that was written by an elite running coach, and it said how to stay in running shape, when you're injured. And it was a 9-week plan. And anyway, I ended up contacting the writer, and I said, I need your help. I need to run a marathon, and I only have 6 weeks. So he put me in touch with one of his coaches, and he said, "Jennifer, trust me, I'll get you this marathon in the water." So all I did for the final 6 weeks of training was run in that deep water, no land running. And for any runners out there listening, if we miss 3 days, we start to panic, let alone 6 weeks of training.
Yeah.
But it was hard. I'll tell you too. It was hard. I mean, it was heart rate based. I had to keep my heart rate at a certain level. I did my 20 miler in the deep water. People are like, what does that mean? That means running, keeping my heart rate above, around 140 for 3 hours.
Oh,
that
wow.
counted as my 20-mile run. But still, I hadn't run on land for 6 weeks. So it was when I got to the starting line, I was like, so help me God if this works. And I kept waiting. There's a runner term saying hitting the wall, where you often get to a place in a marathon, sometimes around mile 20, where your body gives out. And I kept expecting that to happen because I hadn't run on land in so long. And I felt strong the entire race, and I ended up finishing and qualifying for the Boston Marathon. So I say crossing that finish line was my aha moment that led me to the creation of Fluid Running.
Yeah. And qualify for people that are not familiar with running marathons and stuff. Qualifying for the Boston Marathon is also quite an achievement, is it?
Yeah, it's actually one of the few qualifiers I think in the world as a marathon goes. It's one of the oldest, and yeah, it's pretty high standards. You have to run a pretty fast marathon for your age group to qualify for the Boston Marathon. So,
nice.
Yeah.
So that's when you saw the potential, and now you have Fluid Running. How did it start?
So after I finished that marathon, I immediately went to my coach, and I had no intention of starting a business at all. But I was so wowed by this because I thought, okay, not only, and here I was injured. I was limping. I couldn't walk without limping. I couldn't ride a bike. That hurt my calf. I couldn't do an elliptical. That hurt. So here I was an injured athlete, but injured person. And I was able, not only to stay in good physical shape, but marathon shape, but Boston Marathon qualifying shape. So it was such a light bulb moment. And in the 6 weeks while I was training, and I was in kind of an athlete circle, if you will, no one had ever heard of it. And when I was doing it in the pool, people were like, what are you doing? What are you doing? So when I did this, I'm like, this is crazy. Why isn't every injured runner why isn't everybody doing this workout, right? No impact. When I thought about all the application, not just for runners, but certainly all athletes, but certainly anybody who has specifically lower limb pain, foot, ankle, knees, hip, spine, back, anything. So I emailed my coach and I said, I need to do this with my life. How do I get certified? And he said, well, it's not very popular here in the United States, water running, deep water running, aqua jogging. He said, it's very popular in Australia, good for fluid running now. And it's popular in Canada. So I, Google searched both of them and ended up finding a certification, 2 different certifications in Canada. I went there on 2 separate occasions. One was Foundations of Vertical Water Training or something. And then I went back for an aqua jogging certification, came back to Chicago, asked to talk to the aquatic director at the pool where I was swimming and where I had done my deep water training. And I said, can I start a deep water running class? And they said, sure. So, and actually prior to starting class, I had started working one-on-one with athletes and doing some training. And I convinced a couple of athletes that were injured to let me train them and help them. And that quickly became popular. And then more people wanted to do it. And I did a couple of small groups. And then someone said, you should just start a class. So I said, all right. So I said, I can do this. So I had to give some thought to how do I take this concept. At that point, it was just running, right? And how do I take this running and water and make it into a successful class? So, gave it some thought, and I had been to enough group fitness classes, spin type classes. And I thought, well, I'll package it up this way, and there'll be a warm-up time, and it'll be interval based, and we'll have sprints and we'll have endurance runs, and I'll mix in some other movements to keep it interesting. And there'll be a little break. And I came up with a class and started it. I think I had 8 people attend my first class. And then it grew and grew and grew and grew. So
nice.
That was the start.
Yeah. And is it now, so you developed this app recently that people can do the workout via the smartphone, I guess?
Yeah. So let me just give you a little story on that, because it's kind of a good business story as well. So the group class had been going on for about 7 years, and it was growing. I ended up creating the first and only certification for deep water running in the United States. And I certified a bunch of instructors, and the group class kept growing in the Chicagoland area, and it was growing, but I couldn't keep up with all of the people. I think people like me were finding it, discovering it. They Google deep water running. And I would get people from all over the United States, but around the world, athletes and stuff. They say, oh, do you have this here? Do you have this here? And I got so frustrated saying no. I kept saying, oh, soon, hopefully it'll be there soon. So I shared my kind of frustration with expanding the business. And I work at a co-working space where small businesses and entrepreneurs work. And it was at a lunch, and on Fridays, it's kind of open the floor if you want to kind of share ideas to get feedback from other entrepreneurs and small business owners. I shared my struggle growing the business, and the person that now sits behind me, my partner, Mike Lambert, came up to me a couple of weeks later and said, hey, Jennifer, you ever thought about taking your concept, what you've packaged this group, and package it and, get it directly into the consumer? And I said, well, what do you mean by that? He said, well, being an app-based system, we'll send them the equipment, and then they'll be able to listen to the workouts via Bluetooth waterproof headphones and the app. And we tested it for a summer, and then we launched it, and it's been globally successful. And I love that I can say yes to anyone that reaches out saying, do you have it here? I'm like, yeah, if you've got access to a pool, we've got it there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. It's a wonderful concept. And I guess it's not only for runners, right? I guess all
No.
people in all kind of stages and ages can benefit from this fluid running.
It's kind of crazy because we will kind of, our line of ours is that you can have an Olympic athlete, a 27-year-old Olympic athlete with his mom or his grandma for that matter. And no lie, they can both be doing a fluid running workout and both be getting exactly the workout that they need. Because you're in the water, you have a flotation belt around your waist, you're listening, with your Bluetooth headphones to a coach that's saying, okay, now we're running at a 90% effort. Well, grandma's 90% is going to be a lot slower than, the Olympic athlete's 90%, right? But, that's kind of the beauty of it is everyone can go at their own pace. But we've had Olympic athletes that have done this program. We've had multiple Ironman. We just had four people that just ran Boston and incorporated fluid running into the majority of their training, But yeah, I mean, we have high school training groups. We have a group class here in Chicago, a senior class where the average age is 75, 80.
Oh,
so
wow.
it's pretty amazing. The draw is usually, I say, an active adult, meaning you're active, whether you're an athlete or you're just active, you want to exercise, but dang it, something has stopped you. So if you're that high school runner and, your Achilles is really flaring up, or you're 55 and darn it, you go on a fast walk and you come back and your knees hurt. So it's everyone in between. And unfortunately, the older you get, the more that pain flares up from, all kinds of exercise. So it's one of the few workouts that is truly zero impact. Even a bike, I say, if you have Achilles or you have a calf injury, like I did, even pushing down that pedal can hurt. But this is completely zero impact. Of course, swimming is, but a lot of people aren't swimmers per se, meaning that they can go do, 50 laps and get a really good workout in.
Yeah. And it's, you don't need to have an injury to do fluid running because I guess a lot of athletes also use it to minimize the impact on the joints and muscles.
The smart ones do.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, truly, the smart ones do that have figured this out because when you're doing this workout and you're running in the way we at Fluid Running Coach it, we really mimic the exact way that you run on land. So upright, tall, the legs stride is the same, the arm stride. So when you're doing it, it's the same biomechanical motion than you are on land, but you're not touching the bottom. But not only that, the water is 800 times denser than air. So it's more challenging and it strengthens your body in different ways, your hip flexors, actually your core, because when you're in the water and you're holding your body upright, of course you have a flotation belt around your waist, but to hold your shoulders up and your body nice and straight, it takes core muscles, it takes your upper body stabilizers. I say when you're running on land, your arms are just kind of coming along for the ride, just swinging through air and water, 800 times denser, you get an arm workout. So there are some coaching programs out there, some elite coaches that have their runners do 20 to 30% of the runs in the water, always, injured or not, to keep them from getting injured. Because again, you get the same benefits, but without the impact. And not only that, but when you're running in the deep water, the water pressure that's on your legs and you're running and you're kicking up all this turbulence, actually kicks up all the circulation in your legs. So it actually flushes out inflammation, soreness, lactic acid. So I say it's like an oxymoron. You can come and do one of the hardest, as a runner, like the hardest, track workout of the week, and you come out feeling like you had a massage because you had this aqua massage while you were running really hard. So
it sounds wonderful. Do you practice it yourself as well, Jennifer?
Always. Yeah. I always say after I discovered that 6 week of no running and then the ability to still run so well, now I say I just don't even mess with injuries, where prior to fluid running, and most runners are like this, you keep pushing and pushing and pushing and you run through injuries and you keep thinking, and next thing you know, you're sidelined. And now if something just starts to flare up, if I'm training and my knee starts to act, I'm like, forget it, go to the water. And now I'm not nervous if it's 2 days, if it's 2 weeks, if it's 4, whatever it is, because I had the ultimate test, but I had the 6 week test. So it just feels so good. Following a hard run, following a hard bike, following a day of gardening where you're sore and you get in the water and it just loosens everything up and it flushes out all that soreness, all while getting a really amazing workout. I personally get my heart rate into the 160s in the water. Our high schoolers will top 200 beats per minute. I mean, that's how hard it can be. Yeah. Our seniors are probably, sitting around 100 beats per minute, but that's okay. They're moving and It's all good.
Yeah, and I think especially movement is the best. You know, you don't need to challenge yourself, but at least when you're moving, you know, it's already good for your health as well.
Yeah. My mother in Florida, who's 86, she does it every day, and she does it very slowly, but she's in the water and she's so healthy, and it just, you know, her joints are moving and her body's moving. And and for some people, it's the only thing they can do. We have so many fluid runners, as we call them, and say, this is the only exercise I can do. It's the only one that doesn't hurt. And again, they're probably not getting their heart rate to 180, but they're moving, they're exercising, and it's making them feel better. And, you know, it's one of our lines is we make healthier and therefore happier people with fluid running.
Yeah. And I also love the concept, what you just shared, that even a top athlete can do it with his or her mother at the same time. Yeah. Doing exactly the same class and have the effect they're looking for.
Exactly. Yep.
Are those weekly sessions, or is it a program that they follow for a few weeks or months?
Well, you know, it's interesting you say that. So we have group classes in the Chicagoland area, and then the app right now, I believe we have 23 different workouts on the app to choose from. The average length is 55 minutes, but there's, you know, quick hits, as we call them, like 30-minute workouts. We have hour and a half long workouts. They're labeled 1, 2, and 3. 1 is a little bit easier. 2 is kind of middle of the road. 3 is more intense, hard intervals, kind of more runner focused. Mm-hmm. So we've yet to put together a program, but that's on the list because we're getting a lot of requests, especially from runners saying, if you could put together a program for us to follow. And we've also had some people asking for, you know, kind of weight loss programs, but right now we just will guide people on the recommended level of the workout for them to do. And I get emails weekly, people saying, how many days a week can I do this? And I say, well, you know, I don't want to say 7 days a week, but it's so forgiving. You are literally floating in the water, right? So we do have a lot of people that do it 5 days a week, though, for sure.
Yeah. Now I can totally imagine that. And the reason I'm asking for a program, because if you look at the basis of fluid running, how it started, it was you were training for marathon. So I can imagine that people that run for fun, you know, like 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, and they get challenged by the friends, or they challenge themselves and say that one day I would love to run a half a marathon or a whole marathon. That if you can offer them a program with fluid running, that they can prepare for that, because all the things that I'm hearing around me is you have to run 5 kilometers, you know, 3 times a week, and you have to watch your heart rate, and sometimes you have to run a few times the 20 kilometers or 30 kilometers, you know, and then you can, and that's preparing for a marathon. But if you can do that with fluid running, I think that would be even injury preventing and giving them the best chance to actually finish the marathon.
I agree. And again, it's on the list. We're actually working on it now because we had so many requests, because we have a private Facebook group, and so many people in our private Facebook group have posted about using fluid running to get to their marathons. And then a couple of them have been coached by one of our coaches that actually, you know, gave them a plan, and they had tremendous success doing a ton of their training in the water. And one of our instructors, she just ran the Boston Marathon. It was about a month ago, and she only averaged 8 land miles a week for her entire 18-week training, 8 a week. Oh, wow. And she got her best time by 10 minutes at the Boston Marathon. Last October, they did it off season. In the October, she averaged 3 miles a week, and she did it almost the entire thing in the water. And she was only a minute off of her best marathon time. So yeah,
that's impressive.
Yeah, I still would tell somebody, I would never say to a new marathon trainer, like, do it all in the water, because your body is kind of got to get used to that pounding. But you can do a lot of it in the water to prevent those injuries, those overuse injuries, which is what most people have.
Yeah, you know, and it's what you said. You know, if you can integrate it in your weekly training, you know, and just shift the balance towards fluid running, as long as you get accustomed to it. Yep. Then I think that would be the best way to start, wouldn't you say?
Yep, absolutely.
Wonderful. I love the whole concept. Yeah, and actually, I keep looking at it. I love the logo as well. Oh, you know, it's a man. He's running. It's fluid. Yeah. It totally fits the name.
Yeah, I love the play on words because fluid like water, but fluid like, you run fluidly when you're in the water.
Yeah, it works both ways.
Yes. Yeah. My husband gets credit for that. He came up with the name. Little kudos to my husband.
Okay. Well, talking about that, how did you? What's your experience of becoming an entrepreneur?
Okay, well, my experience is I stumbled onto it. I mean, truly, when this happened, I never had an inkling in my mind that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just never crossed my mind. I graduated college. I went into marketing and advertising. I actually got pigeonholed. It's kind of funny because I'm kind of a health nut now, but I actually got pigeonholed in fast food marketing, and that's what I did for about 10 years. McDonald's and Kentucky Fried Chicken, at any rate. So that into my 30s, I just had a change. I started running, and I got very involved in health and fitness. I started getting some certifications. I started doing some personal training. I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I knew I wanted it to be around health and fitness. But when this happened, it just happened. The marathon happened. I went off, I got certified. I came back, said, could I start a class? And to be honest with you, I thought I'm going to start a class, and I'm going to have some classes here at this park district. And that was really the extent of it when it first started. But I quickly, as I started hearing the feedback from people, I mean, I immediately had people, I'm not lying, like in tears saying, this is the first time I've been able to exercise. This is the first time I've been able to get my heart rate up in 10 years, and first time, and sharing these stories. And all of a sudden I thought, I've got something here. I've got something here that I need to figure out how to take this big. And like I said, once I saw the success of it and the response from people and saw how many people I was helping so quickly, then I all of a sudden said, I need to make this happen. And I just did little by little. Didn't happen overnight. That's for sure. A lot of pivots along the way.
Let's put it, you grow into it, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't planned.
How does it feel to have your own business now, doing what you love to do and helping others as well with it?
It's fantastic. I mean, I am. Anyone that knows me knows how passionate I am about fluid running, but when I say I hear every day from somebody that it has changed their life, saved their life. I had somebody in the private Facebook group that posted that she lost 175 pounds. She was 450 pounds when she started fluid running. It was the only thing she could do.
Oh, wow.
Countless athletes that post about how they got their best, their PR, their best time, and from Ironmans to 5Ks to 10Ks. I actually had a woman call me last year to tell me that it literally saved her life. She was thrown off of a boat in the middle of the night. Her harness had snapped. It was the middle of Lake Michigan. The water temperature was freezing. There was humongous waves. And she said, had it not been for the fact that she had been fluid running for the months prior, she swore that's what kept her alive until they found her, because she just kept running. And she was thinking of the mantras that I would say. One of my mantras is strong legs, strong mind, strong body. I have these mantras that are in the workouts, and she said she just kept saying it. So yeah, it's great. I mean, it has its ups and downs for sure, but it's very rewarding, and it's been really fun to watch it grow. It's been fun to bring people into my circle and have partners, and it's great.
Yeah, and those stories you just shared, you just say it as it's almost normal, right? But isn't it make you feel a little bit humble that that people are actually you help them in a way you have never thought of it when you started it?
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, humble, I guess. It's just cool. I know that in any given day, there's literally like thousands of people that are fluid running. Somebody just posted in our Facebook group right before I hopped on. There's 2 people that posted in Africa right now. They're both in Africa doing fluid running. And they show their picture. I'm like, that's so awesome. One's in Botswana and somewhere else. So it's great.
Nice. You already mentioned your husband about the logo. How important do you think to have a supporting spouse when you're running your own business?
Very supportive. I mean, very important, because I think all entrepreneurs it's not, there's no such thing as 9 to 5. It's all the time. And we actually only, was it 2 summers ago, transitioned the fulfillment of fluid running out of our house. So, that was packing boxes evenings, packing boxes all weekend. So it's really important because it's, like I said, it's not just 9 to 5. It takes up your evenings. It takes up your weekend. So you need a spouse who's supportive. My husband's really supportive. He's been a huge help. And he's done fluid running. He had, rotator cuff surgery a couple of years ago. Oh no, he did it through that and a meniscus tear, and he did it all through both of those surgeries.
Nice.
So he's a fan too, which helps.
That helps. He's definitely an ambassador then for your
yes,
for your business. Nice. And I guess by all those successes that your how do you call them, students or participants of fluid running?
Well, we call them fluid runners. Is our
fluid runners.
Participants, but we call them our fluid runners, in our fluid running family.
Yeah. So it's wonderful to have those fluid runners gaining those great results by fluid running, that they're becoming ambassadors of the business itself, right?
Well, I would say that's a humongous part of how this company has grown, because it's a tough concept. And I have even friends of mine that will not, I've had friends even recently say, they'll say to me, how's your swimming business going? I'm like, it's not swimming. And I had a friend recently say, I thought you just sold belts. I just thought you sold belts. So it's kind of a hard concept to explain. And, it's not, there's many variations of spin and cycle and soul cycle and all these different kinds, right? Peloton, but deep water running is a kind of a foreign concept to most people. And now it's a product and people are trying to understand. They don't understand that it's, especially the app based, that they're listening to it. They're not watching a video. So it's a hard sell. And the best sell is someone else saying, no, this has changed my life. Or when someone says, you look phenomenal, what are you doing? I'm fluid running, or, so that it's been a tremendous word of mouth growth of our company.
I totally get what you're saying, because when I started out as a hypnotherapist 7 years ago, before I turned my focus fully towards coaching, it's hard to explain what it can do. And when I joined the local networking group, I told all the members that, I can pitch every week what I'm doing, but it starts to become alive when you experience it. Yeah. So I offered all those members just an experience session.
Yeah.
And then I truly understood what I was doing. Yeah. So I'm totally getting it. There are a lot of presuppositions sometimes about things. And when you say, I'm sporting in running, most people think indeed about swimming, right. Or maybe a little bit of water yoga. It's a bit more familiar, but not that much.
Yeah.
Some people that are a bit skeptic may say, so you're playing in the water?
Oh,
right.
All the time. I mean, I'll tell someone about what my company is, and they'll go, oh yeah, my grandma, she does that. And I'm like, no, she doesn't. No. Because I know what they're talking about. More of a slow, elderly, slow aqua aerobics kind of a program.
Yeah.
Which is great, but this is just different. It's different.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. You should actually invite them to a session and ask them afterwards. Well, was it just like your grandmother did?
Yeah, right. Well, so it's interesting. You said about giving the free system. When we first launched the app, I was so determined, I guess is the word, I say get the cool factor, right? Because I knew that this was good enough for an Olympic athlete. And I wanted to make sure people didn't think it was another elderly aqua aerobics program. So one of our marketing tactics when we first started is we would kind of pay attention to elite athletes that were posting on Instagram, and they would post about their injuries, and they posted they were so upset they weren't going to be able to run a particular race. And we would say, we'd love to help you out. Can we send you the system? And no strings attached. And we would send it. And almost every one of these athletes that did it would then post about it and say, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. Oh my gosh. So that was a big help. We got an Ironman who came in second place at the world champion at Kona in Hawaii, which made him the second best in the world. And he he used it. He posted about it on his Instagram account. And so pretty much anyone, I think we have sold, I mean, we've thousands and thousands and thousands of systems. And our return rate is probably 0.0 something. And it's rarely because they didn't like it. It's they realized their pool wasn't deep enough. They realized, something. But
oh yeah,
I don't think we've ever had a return when someone just said, I don't like it. Can I return it? It's amazing. Yeah.
I think it's also that probably the returns you're getting are maybe people aren't disciplined enough to actually pull through, right? And give it an honest chance.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, it's been like odd situations where someone, again, they didn't realize their pool wasn't deep, or they were moving, or something like that. But we've rarely had someone that just said, again, a handful that just said it wasn't right for them, but very, very few.
Nice. Yeah. I think you got gold in your hands. If I hear you talking about it, and you're actually you're walking the talk, talking the walk, right?
Yeah.
And it's you're the perfect example of doing what you love to do, helping others with it.
Yeah.
And I think fluid running it's helping so many people stay in shape, improving their shape, without the joints being injured or other things. It's a safe environment to stay healthy, so to speak.
It's so safe. I mean, even beyond the joint impact, but running in the middle of the night, or people that have to run right when it's dark, or Chicago winters when it's 20 below zero, or Chicago summers where it's 120 degrees. I always say the pool is always the perfect temperature. So safety from not falling, not slipping on ice, things like that too, to be able to work out safely. Yeah. You're floating and being supported by the water.
Yeah. Nice. You already shared some examples of the results people gained with doing fluid running. Is there a special one that comes to mind about the transformation or the results he or she gained with doing fluid running?
I would say the woman I mentioned that posted just recently of losing 175 pounds. A couple of people come to mind. Another woman, her results, she also said it saved her life because she lost so much weight. She stopped smoking. She got off all of her diabetic medicine. All of her numbers came down. The woman we saved her life, that was humongous. In terms of the athletics story, I would say the woman who ran Boston on 3 miles a week and was 1 minute off her best time. And then again, she just did it about a month ago, the second time, and ran 8 miles a week and had the best time by 10 minutes at Boston. And Boston's a hard course to get your best time at because it's very hilly. Yeah. We had I could go on. I'm trying to think which is the most standout. We've had we helped somebody get to the Olympic trials last year, to the finals and the Olympic trials with an injury. Just had one of the top runners in the U.S. from a Division I school. He just broke the school record after only doing fluid running for several months before, and then he worked himself way back to land. So that was kind of impressive. Yeah, I don't know which is the best. There's so many good ones.
Well, you're already sharing a lot of them, so I guess it proves that it's actually working, and it's getting results that people could only dream of before they start using it.
Yes, for sure. I mean, so many people thought that they were done, meaning, they just couldn't exercise, or they couldn't lose the weight, or they couldn't run, or they couldn't make that race, or they couldn't cross the finish line, or so many people who were able to change their minds and change their lives and their outcomes, which is there are also some exercise systems that say, if you do this for 50 minutes, it's similar as doing another exercise for an hour or something. Is this something that fluid running also does? Like you run for half an hour in the water. It's comparable with maybe an hour or 90 minutes running on the street or something like that? Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure I've seen, I would hate to comment on that because I haven't seen a scientific study. We've got a lot of scientific studies that have proven out that even elite athletes can maintain like 100% peak fitness, meaning VO2 max and run speed and all the markers for elite for up to 6 weeks. In terms of the shorter amount of training, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised only because I said the water's 800 times denser. So if you think about it, you're running in the same ocean, but rather than running through air, you're pushing through water that's 800 times denser. So I don't have a scientific study, but I wouldn't be surprised if the benefits, you could get as much of a benefit in a shorter amount of time just because of you're working so many more muscles, you're running against that resistance.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I'm asking, because a lot of people, especially when you're thinking about running a marathon, I guess it's a lot of people's mind that are doing running to keep in shape. But they only have this idea, at least if I interpret it for myself, that if you want to run a marathon, you have to run like 10, 20 hours a week in order to achieve to get to the finish line, right? Yeah. And a lot of people, especially busy people, don't have that time.
Right.
But if you could do fluid running for like 5 hours a week, and you would be able, if you do that for a certain period of time, to at least run half a marathon or even a whole marathon, it becomes much more achievable for people.
Yes. Although I'd be hesitant to tell somebody training, certainly for the first time, to just, run for 5 hours in the water and then go and try to run a half marathon, just because I would hate for them to, get injured because their body wouldn't be used to the training. So you still have to put in the time. And again, I don't have the studies that back the less amount of time. I will say certainly a humongous benefit of running in the water. Not only are you getting the cardio benefit that you are and the leg strength, but you're strengthening your entire body. So at least you're getting the combination of, say, strength training, or like as if you're doing a resistance band workout with arms and core, upper body, all of your entire body is working during a fluid running. So you're getting your run workout and your strength workout at the same time.
Well, it would be interesting to ask this person. You said that she ran only for 3 miles a week, on the road, and did her fluid running.
Right.
How much time she spent in the water and running?
She's still, her stats are still interesting. She did, yes. That's probably the only study I have, if you will, but it's not technically a study. But she did not run anywhere near what a typical marathoner did. Her mileage, even combining, if you did the water and land, was at, I would say, like half what a normal training plan is. Yeah. So she did it, but I have that. I can't use that really as, she did it.
It's not scientific research, but at least it gives an indication of what's possible. Yes. Right.
Yeah. I wouldn't be, I'd love to be able to conduct a real study like that. I wouldn't be surprised if it's doable, because there's been some other people that have shared the same. A lot of our injured athletes that have been using fluid running have just done much, much lower mileage overall. A lot of it in the water, but because they were injured, much less on land. And then, folding in the fluid running into it as well, but with overall lower mileage. So maybe I can get that study going.
Yeah, well, then we have to settle for another time to proceed on this
results to share. Yes.
Yeah, I think we could talk for hours on this subject, Jennifer, and I truly love to hear you talking about it. And it shows that you're truly passionate about it. Is there any tip or little piece of wisdom you would like to share with the audience about following their passion or becoming an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I would say if you have a business idea or you have a product and you believe in it, then go for it and stick with it. And you have to have thick skin for sure. It doesn't happen overnight, but just commit to not being the 75% of businesses that fail. And sometimes I think about that. I just keep plugging along. We're nowhere near obviously failing, but what keeps me going is I want to be that percentage that succeeds. So just, believe in what you're doing, work hard. And then the other advice I think I would say is, if you can, surround yourself with some people that counter your weaknesses for sure. So, I have the strength of ideas and the passion, and I've got the athletic background, but I don't have the technical background and the marketing background. I have a partner for that, and I don't have the writing experience and some of the others. So yeah, surround yourself with people that counter your weaknesses to help you,
Perfect. And following on that, don't be afraid to ask for help, right? Or support.
Oh, for sure. I mean, again, that's how the app base came. And when I presented to the group, like, I'm really struggling here. I'm really frustrated, and this isn't going as well as I had planned. And out of that came the app-based, launch, which literally brought it from a Chicago-based company to a global company. So.
Nice. So if people want to know more about Fluid Running or get in touch with you, how can they do that?
Yeah. So our website is www.fluidrunning.com. And then all of our Instagram is @FluidRunning, Facebook @FluidRunning, LinkedIn all @FluidRunning. So info@fluidrunning.com to send an email. We return emails within 24 hours.
Perfect. And is the app available in all stores? Google, Apple, or?
It's on the website. It's on Amazon. And again, in terms of internationally, we're in the UK, Canada, Australia, obviously the US. So
as long as you speak English.
Yes. Yeah. Great. Well, even in Spain and places like that. Yeah. As long as you speak English, right? As long as the listener speaks English. The country doesn't have to be English speaking.
Yeah.
But if you Google Fluid Running, if you just Google Fluid Running, you'll find us for sure.
Perfect. Thanks again for being my guest, Jennifer. I really loved the conversation. I think you got a great concept, and it shows how passionate you are about it. And I wish you all the best, and let's keep in touch.
Thank you, Erwin. And thanks for having me today.
I hope you liked this episode. Make sure to check out the other episodes, because each one is filled with interesting and inspiring stories and energy. Are you following your passion as well and make a good living out of it? Contact me and you could be my next guest. Would you like to follow your passion but are not there yet? Check out my website millionaireLifeStrategy.com and book an appointment to discover what I could do for you. Don't forget to share the podcast with your friends so that they get inspired as well.